I applied to USC, NYU, UCLA. NYU, UCLA blew me off. USC accepted. So I came out there, and I was a student in the USC Department of Cinema. Met up with John Carpenter. John Carpenter started to do this master's thesis film, a science fiction movie. I got involved in it, and it grew out of hand. It finally got too big for a student movie, and so in the end, we ended up finding a way to put it into theaters. And instead of the most impressive student film ever made, we had the least impressive professional film ever made. A lot of things bothered me about Dark Star. We had an alien in it, which was a beach ball.
Get out of there!
I went away from Dark Star really wanting to do an alien that looked real. A couple of years down the line, I decided to do Dark Star as a horror movie instead of a comedy. And that was the germ of Alien.
The Alien franchise started off in 1979 with the first film, Alien, which was helmed by director Ridley Scott, which was his second film after his original. His first film was The Duelist. Up until then, besides The Duelist, he was mainly a commercial director. The part of the story was Dan O'Brien, who had previously worked with John Carpenter for his student film Dark Star, in which he played Sergeant Pinpack. And it's notable for that film because in that film featured an alien, although it was a painted beach ball. The film was made in Britain for a very low amount of money. It stars Tom Skerritt, Sigourney Weaver, in her third film role, and in her third film, and it was her biggest role at the time. Veronica Cartwright, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, Ian Holm, and Yaptet Kotto. Sorry if I mispronounced that. The film was sort of well known for many reasons. One, not just because of its acting and its special effects, but also because of the work of Swedish surrealist artist H.R. Giger, who, along with concept artist Rob Cobb and Chris Foss, designed all the artistic elements of the film, such as the alien creature, the chest burster, the space jockey ship, and so on. Upon release, the film was a massive success, both critically and financially, and the film would win an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. And the music was done by Jerry Goldsmith. So, what are your guys' opinion or memories or thoughts of Alien?
Great. It's great. Honestly, for me, what the tagline is actually fantastic, and it's memorable even to this day. In space, no one can hear you scream, and it's fantastic. And I think what's also, I think as one of the guys put it, is that it's a killer alien or a killer villain that screws you, then kills you, and that was an interesting aspect that you don't see in other films.
Well, I think he only screwed one character.
Figure, I don't know. Being that the alien's pretty much a phallic symbol in several ways.
We're off to a great start.
Oh, yeah.
We're off to a great start. And also, not just the tagline, but the trailer was really good because it had almost no dialogue, and it had a very bizarre electric score, which was that sound was brought back for the Prometheus trailers.
Hmm. Yeah. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll jump in. Uh, I first saw the sequel to, or the direct sequel to Alien, prior to watching the first film, so I had sort of um, Ripley as a different kind of character in mind. She was a lot more, I don't know, subdued, I think, for this particular one. Um, I really liked or I have really liked over the years, because I've watched Alien many times, the atmosphere of it. It has a great sense of spookiness. I think they did a really good job coming up with something that felt genuinely alien and frightening, rather than just sort of your typical 1950s kind of stuff. They did a good job kind of incorporating what, sort of, I imagine they thought would be sort of the development of space travel, and all the different ways that they'd use it, and yeah,
And it's being used
just
to this
gruesome.
day. And it's that idea, that atmosphere, of the ship, it's still being used to this day. Look at Dead Space. Dead Space has essentially taken probably the two most well-known or memorable uh, characteristics of Alien and The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and he combined them, and you could see that's very evident. Like the dark, massive ships, the sense of loneliness, darkness. It's all there, and it's pretty much started by one of the first films started by because of Alien.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an influence from John Campbell's novel "Who Goes There," which of course was the inspiration for The Thing from Another World and John Carpenter's The Thing. And something really interesting to note is that in most of these space movies, there's usually just it's usually the ships are very like overly populated. You've got the security, you've got the scientists, you've got the engineers. Uh, in this one, you've got one medical officer, maybe another scientist or two, and then engineers. So it wasn't a largely populated ship, which was an interesting take on it because these guys were slightly blue collar because they worked for this corporation, and the ship itself is designed like an oil rig.
Symbolism.
So it's not, yeah,
Symbolism.
it's not one of these big flashy kind of spaceships. It's really kind of industrial looking.
Wait, what, man?
I agree.
You have any thoughts?
Not really. I
I
told you I don't know anything about Alien.
Okay. I think it was a great, again. I think we spoke about this a lot in the last couple of series we have done, but the atmosphere, the events at the time. For example, 1970s. Uh, businesses, just kind of getting a darker look on the government, and in a sense, it's the Alien does a great job putting on film of that, how the American people in the world are feeling about their governments. It can feel like just a conspiracy going and stuff like that. And with the film and with the idea of okay, there's something bigger going on here, in a sense that it's pretty horrific. What's going on is that you have you got a small group of people being essentially becoming test subjects for this alien, and the ship becoming a way to be its cage. It's pretty creepy.
Special Order 937, Priority 1, ensure return of organism for analysis. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable.
Yeah, and I think what was really fascinating is that what they did a great job with the alien is that they, throughout the whole film, the alien itself, you don't get to see it. Even at the end, when you finally kind of like see it moving around, getting pulled out of the ship, you don't see the whole thing. It's only
Well,
pieces of it.
right, and Ridley Scott, I think he was the one to understand lighting, because
Yeah.
he said that he did not want, when people saw this movie, he did not want people to think, oh, it's just a guy in a rubber suit. And there's actually test screen footage of them with the H.R. Geiger alien suit, and there's a shot of it walking down a brightly lit hallway, and it looks silly, and it looks kind of cheap. in bright lighting. So when you put it in the shadows, it looks great. So
Yep.
even the best effects can look bad if not given good lighting.
Webman, you rather say something?
Nah, nothing.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, it's been a while since I heard the music, but the music did a great job adding to the film, and also the sound. What I think was interesting was I remember thinking about it. The Alien series has the first two serial movies have a great strong sound effects, and you could tell with it. I know I'm jumping way ahead into a video game. The Colonial Marines, those sound effects are still being used. That it's showing how iconic they are. And looking at Alien, like for example, Dallas's death, it was really the sonar beep beep being that the tone was just right to make it sound important and not annoying, but frightening. So when you
Yeah,
hear,
I go ahead.
and so so it's like it's not like a heartbeat. Also, if I recall correctly, it's kind of like it's helping raise the tension of the viewers. Like, oh man, Dallas is in a bind. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and the beat's getting faster, so your heart's going faster naturally, and it's brilliant.
Right, and I think for Alien they kind of took influence from two movies. One is Jaws, not showing the shark for most of the movie, and then building up its appearance, and also going back to the Thing. In the original movie, The Thing from Another World, it was the creature was radioactive, so they had uh, Geiger meters. I think
Yeah,
that's what they're called.
yeah,
And
Geiger.
so they're using it, and it's beeping, and it's again, it's right outside the door. And so in both Alien and Aliens, we see the creation of the motion tracker, which again is a great. It's sort of like it replaces the electronic noises in this movie replaces John Williams' Jaws theme, because in Jaws the music kind of emphasized the approaching of the shark or the presence of the shark, and in Alien and Aliens it's the beeping of the motion trackers.
Yeah, I mean it's really a the kind of motifs that you see with that the motion trackers. It's the same kind of thing where you'd be watching probably just in I mean the slasher film was developed roughly, a couple of years prior to Alien, and then prior to that, you'd have, different murder mysteries where somebody is bumping off all these different people. Who is it? And you only get little glimpses of it. You hear different sounds, you see the shadow move, that kind of thing. Again, sort of that suggestiveness of what it could be.
And I think was also fascinating was that how much time they didn't just put time on the alien. Put it. What's fascinating is that they put a great deal of time into kind of like it's probably the wrong word to say, but the culture of the alien, how it lives, how it is birthed, and you could tell by when they were investigating, I think the other ship or the planet, I forget which. I'm sorry. Then you look at it, it just shows how dangerous this place, this alien is, how it can spread so easily. It's pretty much like a phallic cockroach that can kill people really efficiently. And
Yeah, and
Penis roach.
yeah, exactly. And it's like how okay, it's like man, it's like it just took over everything, and by taking over the first guy, it just shows how the whole process started, and it's very terrifying. And
Yeah,
I think it was really
incredibly.
oh, you go weapon go.
I just say, yeah, it's incredibly terrifying to have a penis burst out of your chest.
Yeah, literally, and and
oh no,
That's what she said.
not again.
oh yeah, I see what you did there, Dark Side. Um, and so, but I think
Check,
what's
please. What did
I
he
was
have? Oh, he had the special. The special? That's what I had. Change my order to the soup.
oh,
Hello, my baby. Hello, someone.
Water.
Spaceballs for the win. But we have to go
Get this
back to
guy some
Alien.
Pepto Bismol.
But what was interesting, but I think was also interesting is like how, in the sense that it gives you a great deal of how much power it has. I mean, for example, the blood cutting scene where the blood cut goes through several platforms. Just a drip of acid goes through several platforms, and they're chasing after it. It's actually really dramatic, in a sense. Like, whoa, the movie can, how dangerous. It's like the alien, the blood could just destroy the ship by itself, and I think it probably leaves a big plot hole for future films. But anyways, uh, by the time the alien's birthed, it's really it's fascinating. By being a little baby, it can kill someone.
And it's an interesting to note about well, let's actually talk about some of the most well-known moments of the film. First of all, we have the chest burster scene. We had the scene with Dallas in the air ducts, and then we had the
Scene.
fun. And then we had the finale in the escape pod.
Well, I wouldn't want to. We shouldn't forget the scene where Harry Dean Stanton is killed after
Oh,
he's
right.
going after the cat, and the alien comes down from those chains.
And the robot,
It's-
and also the robot thing. That was a pretty freaky moment. And here's this fight, boop, 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 and the next thing you know, one guy gets a successful hit onto the head, and it's like the head comes off, but the guy keeps on walking. It's like, what the hell? It's like a double take, and it actually does a great job. For me, it actually was fascinating. Is if Star Wars, if you move look at it, aside from Star Wars or Star Trek, Alien has probably one of the best potentials of developing its own strong, tangible universe. And because it introduces how the alien works, it introduces the organization of how the universe works at the moment, and the robots, the characters, and stuff like that. And it's really memorable during and before and during this thing where we were talking about quotes from Alien or nods to Alien. It just shows how influential it is. So for me, it's just really impressive how Alien has that same amount. I don't think people recognize.
Any you guys want to talk about the work of H.R. Giger? In my opinion, it's fantastic, and I
The
think
artist?
the artist, and I think that was actually one of the things I didn't like about Prometheus. He did some work on it. I think he did like something on a wall or something like that, but he wasn't the main. He just did it as kind of a, oh, I'll come by and I'll do something for you. But he
Like John,
wasn't the main. He wasn't the main artistic guy on that film, and I was actually kind of disappointing.
sounds like John Williams with the fourth Indiana Jones film. It sounds like it was kind of like an obligation instead of, oh, I'm doing it for fun.
Yeah.
I think it was. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say with on the Geiger stuff, basically that Veronica Cartwright was really impressed. She was quoted, I think, just like talking about how she really liked how it was playing around with all this different sexual imagery, and that I don't know, maybe just from an actor's standpoint, that it seemed like something kind of dangerous, and of course, any kind of subversive art is going to deal with kind of taboo subjects. So I think that's one of the things that kind of adds into the whole alien thing, is that we're not totally comfortable with our own sexuality and that kind of thing. So it taps into that fear of what we could do, and what kind of freaky kinks and that sort of thing. I think the chain scene has some links into. I was thinking of Hellraiser as I was watching it, which is very much exploring the horror of S&M and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the aliens into bondage.
Big time.
And it was actually, it was controversial to use Giger at the time because his book Necronomicon or whatever was, I think it was banned in some countries, and people wouldn't exhibit all of his artwork. And just strangely enough, is that that at the the Chinese theater in Hollywood, where it had its premiere, they actually did have a model of the space jockey, in his chair, like outside, and I think religious fanatics torched it because they thought it was something to do with Satan or something like that.
Wow.
Well, they are religious fanatics.
And again, I don't
They
think.
do.
Again, I
Burning
don't think.
stuff.
I don't think people really want to go through the symbolism of phallic symbols killing people. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to really think about that. It's like men killing others, except it's alien.
Penis that eats.
Well, I mean, it's literally it's like an erection that kills everyone. You know, that extension of that mouth. You know, that shoots out and penetrates. You know, as we've talked about already. So
It's a penis that it's a walking penis that eats people.
Oh, I finally got it.
Uh,
I was wondering what. Never mind. That Gutterball
Okay.
joke.
But
Um,
mhm.
I think,
oh, go ahead.
I think what's really interesting was the I think probably one of the most ad-libbed scenes, if I get the term correct, of all time is in Alien. Because, for example, what happened with the chest bursting scene, except aside from the guy who had to wear the chest bursting stuff, no one knew what was exactly going to
Yeah,
happen. So
John Hurt.
yeah, okay, John Hurt was wearing, aside from him wearing the stuff and all the other guys, setting up to the whole thing for the chest bursting scene, the other actors did not know. So when you see the blood getting sprayed onto the, I think the blonde actor,
Veronica. Yeah.
okay,
She like slips. She falls backwards.
yeah, and she screams. That's her first and genuine reaction to the whole thing, because they freaked out because they did have no idea what was going on. So they see the chest burst, like, what the heck just happened? It was the ultimate WTF moment.
And the shot was almost ruined because it was supposed to like punch through the T-shirt, and it didn't. And literally Scott had to yell cut, and they had to like just make a tiny incision so that when it would pop through. So then action again, and then it came through, and it's actually an edit of two shots. That when you see that when you just see it kind of like it pops up and then goes back down. That was the first take, and then when it finally comes out, that's the second take after they fixed that problem.
Yeah, and that was a really neat scene. I really appreciated when people take the time to shock the actors, and that was really impressive. It's like, I thought it was great acting. It's like that's just, it wasn't really great acting. It was a great preparation to the scene, and it's probably one of the most memorable scenes of all time. And it's ad-libbed. It's like, whoa.
And what's kind of listened to Scott's commentary about how they did the other special effects. It's really interesting the kind of what they worked with because they had such they didn't have a big budget for that film. For example, for the shots of the spaceship, he shot close-ups. So they didn't have to do a star field in the background, so they can save money that way. And the scene where they're outside the Nostromo on on LV-426, to make the model of the ship look bigger, they actually had children in the space in the space costumes. Like, and some of them were Ridley Scott's children, so they could make the landing gear of the ship look bigger. And then the shots of them approaching the derelict spaceship, that was a model, and you'll see like in the distant, like very small going up to the ship, you see these three lights from the crew members, and they were like toy soldiers with little lights on them that were on like a little track, and then they shot, and so that was a model in itself. And then I think it's actually the same technique that Cameron used in Aliens, that in Alien, when they're looking through the kind of the video camera of the crew members' helmets, and they're talking to Ash and Ripley on the ship. There's a we see through the viewfinder of I think the captain's spacesuit, and Scott filmed that on one of those, like an early version of a home movie camera, so it's all kind of distorted and blue and has interference. And then in Aliens, Cameron used those cameras mounted on the helmets to and it's a great effect.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Let me ask you guys: have you ever seen the deleted scene, the cocoon scene?
I have.
Thoughts,
Yeah,
opinions?
this is So briefly, this is the scene where Ripley finds all of her crew having been cocooned up in the walls of this particular room, and she comes up next to Dallas, who she could see is alive, and kind of leans in close and sort of is inquiring, how are you doing? And he says, kill me, or he says it, he's kind of, raspy voice, very just barely above a whisper. So I personally thought I'm not sure why they cut it. I mean, I can understand that it was maybe a pacing issue,
It
but
was a pacing issue because it came after Ripley discovering oh, I'm forgetting the names of the characters. I should after discovering the bodies of
was
uh,
Veronica Cartwright's character
yeah,
or
Parker and Lambert.
yeah, Lambert.
The black
So
guy.
yeah, and
Okay.
so I think their reasoning was, well, she's running away in horror, and then she suddenly stops for 5 minutes for this scene.
Yeah, and also I think what works is to have taking the scene out though. It also makes Dallas's death mysterious. Like what exactly happened? Because you don't really hear him scream. You don't hear anything happen to him. You don't know how much of a fight he put up. All you know is he encountered the alien and done. And it's pretty terrifying. And it gives, in a sense, that where like John Carpenter's The Thing later on is that it just gives you a hint or an idea, and it lets the creative mind of the viewer try to put the pieces together, and it's horrifying.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe they've done it in the future Alien, maybe in Alien 3, but in this movie, what the alien does is it using its second jaw, it like rips out a piece of their skull, so it really kind of lobotomizes its victims, and that's what happens to Parker.
Yeah, I think that the shame of the film, for me was for me was the scene where the lady, I think we're talking about the actor Veronica.
Lambert.
Yeah, she starts freaking out, and the black guy. Sorry, I sound like it too. I feel really bad. It sounds like I'm not.
Yaphet Kotto.
Oh, so say again.
Yaphet Kotto, or that's the actor anyway.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Big.
Well, Parker. His name's Parker.
Parker.
Parker. Yeah.
He comes in and tackles the alien, trying to fight back. It's like it really was a shame. Though. Like really, it's like So they had to do the lady screaming, freezing up. I understand that, but because all the other guys are kind of like, for me, it set up a negative cliche for other films and other horror films that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know because it's sort of like throughout the whole movie, she's been kind of ever since since they set down that planet, she's always been kind of it's deeply affected her, and I think it's sort of understandable. But on the other hand, just get out of the way. Just
Yeah.
let Parker blast it.
Yeah, or just honestly for me, if I felt, I know it sounds really nasty, but it's like for the guys, like okay, look, alien, kill the alien, and you could probably save the rest of the crew. Yeah, too bad she can't get out of the way, and she might suffer some burns. burn it, burn it with fire. And it's like that was a shame for me. And I think another thing that drove us nuts, but I think it just shows Sigourney Weaver's sense of humanity and love for for the creatures is the cat scene. She's going around chasing after the cats. Like really?
I'm like, fuck that cat, leave it.
Yeah, but I think
No, I'm glad they went back for the cat because you know what? I think in horror movies, the animal is always the one that get killed off, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Connect with your audience. Kill the cute dog.
Well, on that note, I kind of wanted to bring up one thing that I think is important, and especially in I think eventually we're going to talk about the direct sequel, Aliens. Ripley's character is kind of interesting. I mean, we are all aware that Ripley was originally written with a male character in mind, and I think it was a studio suggestion, maybe Alan Ladd, to switch the sex and then cast a woman in the role. And there's notable parts of the film where there's, there's a kind of a cold logic sometimes that she has. The scene where they're at the airlock and Dallas is ordering doors to be opened, and she says, "I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's not following quarantine procedure. Everybody could be infected by whatever's got into Kane
Yep.
and that sort of thing."
I'm
If
sorry,
only they listened to her.
I'm sorry, Dallas. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yeah, I like Dallas. I really like Dallas for the fact is that he was a very quiet leader, and he didn't get mad. You didn't hear him. I can't, as far as I can recall, he didn't scream at all and anything like that. And that's why I think.
He yells a couple of times, but
But
he's pretty cool.
and he was a very calm guy. So when Sigourney Weaver takes over, you have a different. She's very passionate, and she in a sense she's the alpha female, so she's kind of like she holds her own, and it's a really neat way of how she handles it. It's like where Dallas is a little more cool and
Yeah, he's a little bit more like kind of laid back. Okay, we'll go a corner in the air duct, and I guess I'll go in and kill it.
oh, and
Yeah,
well, I thought the reveal of the android by the way,
Okay.
was pretty shocking for me. As I said earlier, just they're fighting and fighting and fighting, and then someone gets the pipe, and you think okay, he's gonna get knocked down. He's not, and then the head comes off. It's like, oh snap!
And one other thing I want to say just has always weirded me out about this movie that Ash finds this like magazine, rolls it up, and then starts stuffing it into Ripley's mouth. Just something about that is just it didn't freak me out. It just weird. It's just weird to me every
Just
time I
Alex
watch
that's
it.
just wrong, man.
It's just an Alex symbol again.
Well, I know
Yeah,
it's
guess.
So got it.
it's like an Aliens. Like, well, the older models were always a little
Suck my
finicky.
manual.
Cornbread.
Yeah.
The older models were a little bit finicky. Cornbread. And it's yeah. I have to admit, I agree that the whole reveal of Ash being an android is really surprising. And before that, when they're in the canteen, and he makes that weird kind of, it's really out of place. This kind of weird electronic noise, and we see that kind of white liquid pouring down his head, and it's sort of like, what the hell what's up with him? And then, of course, when his head gets knocked off, it's like, oh, Ash is a goddamn robot.
Oh, real quick, are there any flaws with the film? We spoke high praise, and for me, one of the biggest, I think, a big opening issue is the blood acid scene. Is that for me? It comes up in the other films in different ways. For me, you really don't get to see it. Like the blood's on the city of the blood comes up, so it forces them to use flamethrowers. But you see Weaver running around with an assault rifle later on the film, so it's kind of like they missed that. I really wish.
Well, in Aliens.
Yeah, yeah. They bring it back up, and then quite a bit. I just find it a shame that they did a great job, and they bring so much drama to the blonde. The acidic blood that they didn't really bring it back up in the films. Like for example, you don't.
Well, wait. Well, it does, because in Aliens we see there's holes in the LV-426 control center. Looks like someone bagged one of Ripley's bad guys, and Drake gets killed by acid. Acid sprays on his face.
And that's how Hicks is taken out of action as well. He gets sprayed by acid.
Oh, I'm saying in the first Alien. I'm talking about strictly the first Alien. That's all.
Well, that's because they don't really, it gets shot out of an airlock.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Doesn't Aliens take place mostly on the planet?
Yes.
For the most part.
Well, that's why in the first movie, isn't the big deal with the acid that it can burn through the whole of the ship, and then space, and there's a hole in the ship. That's a bad thing.
Okay.
That wouldn't be that big of a deal on planet.
I'm just saying it's just an issue with Alien. That's all. For me, it's been a shame. It's just a little shame.
Are you saying that the acid never played into the rest of the movie Alien?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
True, but remember, they never wound the alien. They never get shot at it. Yeah. The only time they get shot out of an airlock, so there's no reason for it to bleed again. The acid came from the
egg.
No, the face hugger. The face hugger.
Face hugger, that's it.
I understand. Again, I understand that. I don't want to. We got to start wrapping up, but I'm just saying is that it would have been nice to have it play a little further. I'm not saying a big role, but it might have been like a threat. It's like don't use your gun. Are you
Okay.
mad?
Okay.
Like stuff like that. In a sense, it was a great idea. It was another brilliant idea for me. It would have been pretty tired. We can't use guns. We have to. And what would have been cool was it's kind of like the thing, John Carpenter's The Thing was kind of like a plot convenience. They have flamethrowers. Here, you could see them. We have to make something that kills it. What about a flamethrower? Yeah, can we do that? And that'd been a really neat way to see them use their minds and work together as a team to try to make a flamethrower. What's the thought?
They sort of did. They had. I mean, they weren't really flamethrowers. They're like they call them flame units. And I think was it either Ash or Parker made up the motion tracker.
Ash.
So
It was
yeah.
Ash.
So the equipment really was kind of makeshift.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But aside from that, I think it's a great film, and it's, as I said earlier, for me, it does a great job setting up a universe that similar to that of Star Wars and Star Trek, albeit more phallic.
See, that's what Star Wars needed. It needed more phallic. Well, wait, lightsaber.
The lightsabers, yeah.
I see
Space
you have the
balls.
ring. I see you have the ring, and yours is big as mine. Let's see how
Ew.
well you handle it.
Hi, Schwartz is bigger than yours, Schwartz.
Okay, I'm done. Are you guys good?
I'm good.
I'm good. Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly okay. I think
start with-
I'd want to say one more thing, if possible, if that's okay.
One
Yeah,
more
After we
thing.
screwed around for about 5 minutes of this thing, so
Go ahead.
okay. Just to quickly close, I think it's a great film about isolation. I think that the one thing about these typical kinds of horror movies with a slasher killer of some sort is that there's some kind of a plot, thing that basically the characters forget conveniently. Like oh well, they just need to call the police and they're just stupid, so they don't do it. But here, there's some real isolation. They're out in the middle of, they're 10 months away from Earth. They have no other options. They have just this ship, and eventually just the escape pod. So I think it's really effective in creating that sense of how scary it is to be alone.
And sexuality kills.
That too.
And we're done.
All I have to say is that this is probably one of the greatest movies about giant penis monsters eating people I've ever seen.
And we're done.
Is he all right?
Yeah, the guy digs me. Hey, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know. Bring him some water. Water my ass. Bring this guy some Pepto-Bismol. Waitress, what did he order?
Oh, he had a special.
That's what I ordered. Change my order to the soup. Good move.
Oh, no. Not again.
America.
Check, please.
Denny's, America's Diner, is always open.
The same stars in the sky, but they seem so much kind.